Lefiya made a decision and set the priority. Luke, take Nano and the others to the Wall of Size. Wall of Size. What does that mean, Senpai? Trust the massive wall to form a formation. He continued attacking and looked at Lefiya at the same time. This is to avoid attacks from the rear, the boy judged. Although Nano and the others have already responded, it is still too dangerous for them to protect their rear. In fact, Luke's breath was starting to become irregular as well. And that is natural too, if the time before death is included, then he fought monsters in the dungeon for over a day. The consumption of Cole's material is very intense, and similarly, the potential burden falls on Luke's body. Instead of fighting in the middle of the corridor and surrounded by enemies, it is better to turn your back to the wall and focus on dealing with 3 directions, which can really reduce the burden. However, is this kind of passive combat really good, Senpai? In this situation, is it really possible not to launch an attack but choose to shrink? Luke couldn't help but look back, and then Lefiya shouted loudly. Hurry! If you continue, there will be more and more monsters, and it will be difficult to launch long text chant. Being told by the sky blue eyes, the boy could only choose to believe the words of more experienced adventurers. Everyone, run! The level 3 arm forcibly tore through the high wall surrounded by monsters and crossed the corridor. As the 7th squad began to advance towards the Wall of Size, Lefiya began to sing. Make a wish in the name of Weishia. Forest ancestors, compatriots. As expected, Goliath was attracted by the magic power and moved. Lefiya faced the giant approaching her and, instead of using the magic she had chanted beforehand, she constructed another summoning magic to summon the great giant. The end is coming, pure white snow. A strong wind in the twilight. Lefiya resisted Goliath's attack, equivalent to a natural disaster, weaving a spell with her life on the line. At the same time, Luke and the others also reached the west side of the corridor. We made it, Senpai. As Lefiya said, the Wall of Size is a huge wall that only gives birth to Goliaths. The giant is still furious now, so there won't be other monsters here. They reached the wall with rolling stones, and Luke turned his head. Come here quickly too. Luke shouted here and stopped again. Threatened by the terrifying masters and ground monsters, Lefiya, who was dancing and fighting, finished her chant and pointed her left hand at Luke and the others. The 7th squad stopped moving, and at this moment, the short staff used as the cannon's mouth shot this ice strike. Extremely cold Fenbul winter. The glow of blue ice filled the students' field of vision. The 7th squad assumed a fighting stance in disbelief, but this magic did not freeze or hurt them. The cold wind made the body tremble. Luke and the others opened their trembling eyes and fell silent. Ice covered the surroundings. In front, left, and right, and the top of the head were all blocked by ice blocks and icicles. Outside, you would find that a huge twisted triangular ice cone had formed there. Many monsters continued attacking and spitting flames, but the thick ice wall would never collapse. The 3 snowstorms launched at an adjusted angle became a true ice barrier and trapped Luke and the others in it. No, Luke. It can't get out. You can't destroy it from the inside. What is this? What are you playing at? What are you playing? Listening to the voices of Cole and Milia, who continued beating on the ice wall with their weapons, Luke, who was stunned, couldn't help but tremble, showing anger. Why? Why, Senpai? Nano's voice, wet with tears, couldn't reach her on the outside. Sorry, I was being rude. Released the freeze, the extremely cold magic. After that, Lefiya first took a big step back to distance herself from Goliath and the others. This ice barrier cannot be easily broken. It can remain even if Lefiya dies. If something really happens, I hope the rescue team on the ground can come, or the communication channel on the 18th floor can be opened to send reinforcements. In the current state, Lefiya doesn't have the confidence to protect the 7th squad. So they were ordered to go to a safe place far away and were locked in the enchantment. Compared to her own life, Lefiya put Luke and the others in a higher priority. And chose a safer method. More importantly, she wants to try to fight. Like Ace who fought the floor boss, Eudeus, she wanted to fight this monster herself. I didn't intend to die and never thought I would lose. After all, if I lose here, protecting myself by saving others would be a pipe dream. She murmured the reason she became a magic swordsman, and quietly narrowed her eyes. Although it is also possible to freeze Goliath, it cannot be treated. If she stopped enchanted royal bombardment, for now, not to mention, but parallel chant cannot completely refine magic power, so power and accuracy will be weakened accordingly. At least that would be the case with Lefiya's current technology. The cute and ugly girl I love still has a long way to go. Therefore, she filled her body with the realization of becoming a magic swordsman. Ahead are fierce giants and various soldiers. There are also new monsters appearing in the rear. Lefiya stood right in the middle of the corridor, brandishing the dagger with her right hand and raising the staff with her left. The giant monster didn't give her time to be sentimental and sounded the horn. Facing only one enemy, the monsters screamed in unison and moved. Lefiya sang loudly. "O proud warriors, forest archers! The raiders approaching are ahead, grab your bows. Respond to the voice of your brethren, knock and string. It must be a super melee about to begin." Under this overwhelming disadvantage, the scenes and time that can be used for parallel chanting are very limited. The only ones that can be activated are those that chant short texts like the light arrow, and limited to the first round of the war. Summoning magic requires 2 verses, so it can be judged that it cannot be cast. The timing to use the precursor magic left in her left hand will be the difference between victory and defeat, and it is also Lefiya's trump card. Ignite the flames, lights of the forest. I command you to shoot arrows, the fire arrows of the elves. Rain down and burn the barbarians. The enemy army approached threateningly, and the moment Goliath threw a stone, Lefiya ran out standing. She also ran forward. Completed the chant, and released it. Saved fire javelins. The ultra-short range that is incompatible with bombardment. Furious fire arrows fell randomly over a large area, completely cremating the attacking monsters. Not only the monster but also the ground was crushed, and a huge cloud of smoke rose from here. Goliath couldn't see Lefiya for a moment and panicked. Release that light, the longbow of sacred wood. She seized this momentary opportunity and galloped. The Ground Master was truly surprised when he saw the elf running towards his arms through the smoke. In front of her, various soldiers. The high walls disappeared. Lefiya approached while casting the spell, and Goliath, who couldn't stop her, swung her giant hand. But Lefiya was not timid. Instead, she increased her speed as if imitating her former enemy, namely, a certain rabbit. Before being dragged by the arm, she broke the enemy's arms, then crossed with her right foot and swung her short sword while crossing. There was a muffled sound, and it seemed to cut a large tree. The short sword cut through the enemy's skin, tore off the flesh, and made the enemy spit blood. Then, the moving arm made a deafening shattering sound, as if the ground behind was like the sea, causing huge waves. The dagger did not succumb to Goliath's incredible resistance, and did not even create a gap. However, the Tears of Ashes is not a large weapon and cannot deliver a decisive blow. If Lefiya wanted to win, she could only rely on the magic. Your name is Marksman. Aim, Fairy Archer. In a mandatory battle situation, she must start chanting the next magic bullet the moment she releases the magic. The continuous activation of magic made her mentally tremble, but she didn't mind. Instead, if it weren't an emergency, Lefiya would be grateful for the situation. For me as a magic swordsman, now is undoubtedly the most suitable environment for battle and the strongest enemy.